back to Computer Science at SSFS. Today we're going to talk about a process that's not specifically computer programming or computer science, but it's a good way to help visualize the solution to a problem, and it's the use of flowcharts. Flowcharts can sometimes seem like a needless extra step, but they can actually be very helpful in visualizing how exactly you're going to go about solving a problem. And if you know how you're going to solve a problem before you start actually coding it, it makes your life much easier in the long run. So, as an example today, we're going to talk about the steps in driving a car. And this could be super complicated, so we're not going to put every single step, but we're just going to get the idea of how to create a simple flowchart to outline the steps in solving a problem. There are lots of tools available for creating flowcharts. There are some you can use by hand. There's plenty of ones to be found on the web or mobile devices like iPads. In fact, there's a good one for the iPad called Pureflow, which is free. We're going to use one called Draw.io. And again, this is free to use, and it's just draw.io. And it tells you where you want to save. You can link to either Google Drive, which we have, or a OneDrive account. I'm going to use Google Drive. So this is just now saying, can draw.io access your Google account? I'm going to authorize. Again, we just have to allow it. And if you have not yet logged into Google Drive, you'd have to log in first before you get that steps. And the same as if you were using OneDrive. So I'm going to create a new diagram. And again, this is going to automatically be saved in my Google Drive account. I'm going to call this, let's see, drive a car. Let's get rid of all this stuff. And I want to make sure I have basic, a blank diagram, and I'll hit create. And you can see you have typical menu structure up here, and you've got a lot of shapes here. It can almost be overwhelming in how much stuff Draw.io has. You can create all kinds of diagrams. For our purposes, we're going to pretty much stick to the flowchart section. I'm going to close General, and I'm going to go to Flowchart, and we're going to use these tools. And this also seems like a lot of tools, but the good news is we're only going to be using a very small subset of these tools. And the first one we're going to use is this one called Start. And that just indicates, I'm just going to drag it onto my screen. That orange line indicates the middle. And once it's there and selected, I can just start typing, and I'm going to type Start. And again, that just says, okay, this is the starting point of my program. The square, and you see when I hover over it, I see the word process. And a process is just a step or something that's going to happen. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to walk to the car. I'm going to approach the car. Okay, so now I've got start and walk to the car. They're not connected, but if I move the mouse to the start and I see a green dot, if I just drag, I drag an arrow and it's selected and it connects these two symbols. Now, when I walk the car, the next thing I have to do is I have to check to see if the door is open. And there's going to be two possibilities. It's either open or closed. And what I do depends on if it's open or closed. And so for that, we use what's called a decision symbol. And a decision symbol is usually a diamond. So I'm going to drag that down here. And again, it doesn't matter necessarily how far away these are. You just want to make it readable. And I'll go ahead and connect. Actually, while the diamond is highlighted, I'll type, is the door open? And a question mark. And then I'll connect these. Now again, I'm going to have two choices. Either the door is going to be open or it's not going to be open. So I'm going to drag a line from the door open to this left process, and we'll say that it's yes. And you can see that once the line is selected, I can just start typing. And this one will be no. So those are my two possibilities. So if the door is not open, I'll open the door. If it is open, I'll get in the car. And once the door is open, I can go right to this step. Just drag down a little bit. So you can see I drag the line from open the door to get in the car. So my process becomes, if the door is not open, I open it, and then I go to this block. So once in the car, I have another decision to make or to see, and that is the car running? So let's go ahead and connect these two. It's going to get to that point. And again, if the car is running, I'm going to do something based on if it is or if it isn't. So I will put a process here, and I will put a process here. And again, the exact layout of this doesn't matter. I could have put a block here and a block here. We just want to try to keep it as concise as possible and as legible as possible. But if the blocks are above and below, it really doesn't matter. So if the car is not running, I'm going to start the car. And if it is running, and again, once the line is highlighted, I can just start typing to type a label. If the car is running, I will put the car in gear. And again, once I've started the car, I can now connect these, because once it's started, I can put the car in gear. And then for another process, so the car's already in gear. Now I can press the gas pedal. And now I'm actually driving my car. And you notice I didn't put things like turn the steering wheel or check mirrors. I could have made that, we could have had a lot more symbols in our diagram, but we were just trying to get the idea of how to use a flowchart. So back at the beginning, I had a start symbol to show where my process starts. I also have a terminator symbol, which is kind of the oval shaped symbol here. So I'm going to put that down here. So again, the last thing could be end, but in this case, I'll say drive away happily. And then connect that, and it shows that this is the ending point of my program or my process. And you can see it's the terminator symbol. So your process should start with a start symbol and end with a terminator symbol. So now that we've finished our flowchart, there's no need to save it because the autosave option is checked and it's being automatically saved to our Google Drive. But we do need to find some way to turn it in, as these are assignments. We could share it. You could share it with the teacher here by clicking the share button in Google Drive. But we're actually going to go to the file menu and submit this as a PDF file. So if I go to file, I can go to export as, and I see a variety of options. We're going to choose PDF, and we want the whole thing. So we don't need to check anything. We're just going to do export. We'll give it a name, and we can download it. And you can see the PDF then downloads in my browser. So if I click on that and get an idea of what it looks like, you can see that it's the flowchart that I've done. It looks very nice. And this final PDF can be uploaded to the class learning management system. So again, that's the basics of flowcharts. They're not meant to be a very intricately detailed description of your problem, though that does help sometimes. It's to help you get an idea of how you're going to go about solving a problem. As you do more and more programming, you'll find that there are multiple ways to solve a problem, and it's very easy to get bogged down with which way you're going to use if you start coding too fast. So by using a flowchart to plan out your process, it can make the actual coding of a program a lot easier.